This next piece of tactical training comes from the Grandmaster's game between Marjanovic and Rajkovic, and it was played in 1979. After the introductory moves e4, c5, knight f3, e6, the Sicilian opening has emerged and white plays the move that is typical for the Sicilian. He opens the position in the center. White is a little bit better developed, and his position is slightly tactically better, which is the reason for him to open the position as soon as possible. Black takes on d4, knight takes, knight c6, knight c3, a6, and after bishop e2, black played an interesting move, knight g2, e7. It appears that this knight is blocking the bishop from being developed, but the move has a very good idea behind. What black wants to do is to exchange the knights on d4, and when the queen captures on d4, play knight c6, saving the move by attacking the queen, simplify the position, and continue with his development. White played bishop to f4, and after d6 he took on c6 himself. Knight c6, and queen d2. Black played bishop to e7, white castled, and black castled. In this position it is obvious that the main target of attack is going to be the pawn on d6, and in that regard white played rook f to d1, attacking the pawn on d6. If black decides to play e5 and block the line of attack, that will leave him with a very bad square on d5, which white can exploit with his bishop or his knight and obtain significant advantage, which is why black opted for knight e5. This is a much stronger move. If white takes on e5, then he would surrender the bishop pair, and black would have a very good control over a number of important central squares. So instead white simply continues with his attack on the d6 pawn and plays queen d4. After queen c7, white played rook d2 with the idea of doubling the rooks, and after rook d8, white played rook a to d1. In this position white has a slight advantage because he definitely has the pressure on d6 and e5. However, his advantage is not all that big. Unfortunately, black's next move, h6, proved out to be a big mistake. The question is, what would you do? How would you make use of this mistake to win the game? Okay, it's your turn now, so pause this video and practice playing this position against your electronic training partner. And remember, if you make a mistake or want to have another go at the position, you can always click the Start Again button. So pause the video, play until you either win the game or have a very clear winning advantage, and then come back to the video to see the rest of the game. This is what happened in the game. White simply took on e5. Black has to take on e5, and after queen c4, black is really in a terrible position because the queen is deflecting the black queen on c7 from protecting the rook. Black doesn't have the luxury of exchanging queens, because after queen takes c4 there would follow an intermediate move, rook takes on d8 check, and after bishop d8, rook takes d8 check. Well, king would have to move on h7 and white would win a piece after recapturing the queen on c4. Because of that, the black queen is forced to flee, but there are only two moves for this black queen to go to, either b6 or a5. If the queen goes on a5, then the next move is going to be b4, forcing the queen on b6, and after knight a4 this queen is running out of squares and has nowhere to go. Because of that, in the game black tried playing queen to b6, but then pretty much the same thing happened, only with a slightly different move order. White played knight to a4, and when black played queen a5, which is the only square for the queen to protect the rook on d8, white played b4 with an easily winning position.